Seth, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jonathan? That
Hanging
wasn't what
in.
you asked me. You asked me what's going on, and I was like, I'm good. What is going on? I don't know. Patty's under the weather, but I'm feeling okay. Trying not to get it. It's the
Do you have to keep your distance?
I've been trying a little bit, yeah. But
Mm.
I've been trying to care for her and keep a little bit of distance, if that makes sense, which is
Care,
the
but
challenge.
not care too much. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Well, speaking of segues, here's something that I care about a whole lot, and that's our favorite question. What would you do in this particular situation? Seth, would you want to have to do a choreographed dance in a bank or light off fireworks at a gas station?
Choreographed dance at a bank. Unless the
Yeah?
choreographed dance involves pretending to rob the bank.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay. Because like I feel like the fireworks at the gas station could be dangerous, but the choreography at the bank like doesn't necessarily seem that dangerous.
Yeah, it's
Just
like worst case scenario is like,
they asked me to leave sternly.
yeah, I was gonna say worst case scenario is like embarrassment,
They're,
not
they're like, "Do you even
explosion.
bank here?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't use this bank." Is that what you're going with too?
I think so. Again, writing this, I don't know. Fireworks are fun sometimes, but not all the time.
Yes, I do like fireworks a lot, actually.
I actually tend not to be a fan. I don't even know why I wrote this question. The answer is obvious.
I liked them
Okay.
more
Well,
before
I
I got a
do.
dog.
Oh, fireworks. Yeah,
Yeah, like now I'm like, oh, I just feel bad. Like,
I'm still stressed. I was stressed before, and I'm still stressed. Well, regardless, Seth, let's just move on because the
deal.
whole point of this was to talk about situations where it's like wrong place, wrong time to do something.
Okay.
Like choreographed dance at a bank, maybe not as extreme as fireworks at a gas station, but
It
that's what I was
does.
trying to get at.
Yeah, it does feel like not the appropriate place.
So the reason for that is because our gospel reading for this week comes from the 5th chapter of John. Jesus is healing on the Sabbath. So I'm just gonna read this passage quickly.
Okay. Great.
After this, there was a festival of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now in Jerusalem, by the sheep gate, there is a pool, called in Hebrew Beth-zatha, which has 5 porticos. In these lay many ill, blind, lame, and paralyzed people. One man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The ill man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I am making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me." Jesus said to him, "Stand up, take your mat, and walk." At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat and began to walk. Now that day was a Sabbath. So generally, Seth, what do you think makes Jesus healing on the Sabbath so controversial?
Well, I thought the Sabbath was supposed to be just like a day set apart for rest. And I especially think in modern conservative Judaism that like there are very sort of strict rules about what you can do on the Sabbath. And my assumption, at least, is that there was some of that back in Jesus' time period. That there were sort of some rules about what you could do and not do. And that healing was not one of the things that you were allowed to do.
Right. It's just this, yeah, it's a violation of a sacred designation, right? I do think that this is a circumstance that is all about wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, it is.
No one would say that Jesus' act of healing was a bad thing. I don't think no one reasonably would say that, but there are circumstances that prompt people to have a different reaction. Healing on the Sabbath, doing that labor, doing that work, countering the commandments that are related to the Sabbath about rest. It stands out to me too that this person, this ill person that Jesus healed, also felt like wrong place, wrong time. He was trying so badly to get to this place, these pools, where when the water was stirred up, the tradition was, at least, that basically like the first person to get into the water would reap the benefits, essentially. And so he would like start, and for whatever reason, presumably because of some sort of condition that made his act of getting up and walking a miracle at the end of this passage, but maybe because of his physical ability, he couldn't get into the pool fast enough. And you'd think for that long of a period of time that at some point someone would be like, hey, y'all, we'll wait for the next one. But no, it feels like his urgency was not able to translate into action that allowed him to get to the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And so Jesus kind of turns all that on its head. And yeah, I mean, there's several instances throughout the Gospels, and Jesus uses this phrase too or this question in different places, like, was the Sabbath made for people, or were people made for the Sabbath? Trying to ask questions about what is the ultimate goal here? Is the goal following the rules? Or is the goal ordering our lives in a way that reflects how God ordered the world in the creation story, for example, using that as a guide for our values? So Jesus' act feels kind of disruptive. It feels almost irreverent in some ways, even though it is also very profound and powerful. And so my question for you, Seth, is where does it feel like faith is in the wrong place at the wrong time? Where are some spaces that you notice, maybe for you personally or just generally too, that it's like, this might be a good thing, but it feels hard to see it in this way? And feel free to interpret that how you want.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking just sort of in general right now about like the push to like teach like I'll just say mostly, but basically only Christianity in schools. And like as someone who has tried to read their Bible regularly and gone to college and seminary, like at some level I'm like, okay, like I would like people to be biblically literate. And then I also think like, you know, schools are probably, like public schools especially, are not the place for us to do this. Like there's too many different perspectives both in the school, and I think there's also too many different perspectives from the outside that are kind of trying to shape what these lessons should look like. There's all kinds of questions we can ask, like, okay, so you want to teach the Bible in the school? Which version of the Bible are you gonna start with? Like, that's sort of question one, like, and it's already like, who knows? So I just think like that's a place where like I hear it initially and I think, wow, what a nice idea. And then as soon as I start thinking about it a little more, I think like this is probably not the right place or the right time.
Yeah, it feels kind of strange to be a clergy person opposed to prayer in schools, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about much more than that, and it's that dynamic. I'm also trying to think of an example that reflects what, like, Jesus' dynamic, that's like doing a thing that's ultimately right in a place where it would be frowned upon too.
Yeah.
And I just think about the legacy is complicated at best, but I think about the legacy of Pope Francis too, of being a person that, when expected to live in the high class, papal apartment and wear the most decadent garb and eat in the most fancy places at the seat of honor, he so regularly chose to reject all of that. And so his acts of being with and eating with the unhoused, or calling Catholics in Gaza every night over the last 18 months of his life, it's like he bucked the religious convention and expectations, some of which may be in place for perfectly good reasons, some of which may be aligned with teachings as sound as honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. But he recognized a higher priority, to be with and among the hurting. There are a lot of people who reacted and still react to that as wrong place, wrong time, Francis. And just being able to so clearly see a different pathway and operate differently, no questions asked, is just indicative of a lifetime of making those kinds of decisions,
Yeah. I loved how they're using his Pope mobile and turning it into an ambulance for people in Gaza. Feels like some people are not going to be happy about that. Some people are going to be screaming that it's the wrong time for that.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like something Francis would want to have done, no matter the time, no matter the opposition.
And I also think of the story of, I know I'm using a lot of male examples here. I'm trying to stretch myself beyond that, but it's just what's coming to mind. I think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail as well, and think of the white clergy people to whom he was responding, who essentially told him, this is not the right way, this is not the right time. We agree with you in principle, but functionally, sit down, shut up, pray about it. You're not acting in a way that is proper or holy or right. And it becomes really clear to see examples like that, to see examples of women speaking up about experiences of violence, to see opportunities to shed light on things that have happened before. It becomes really easy to look back on those and say, obviously this was right. You just read a book with the title, and I'm going to ask you to help me remember the author. One day everyone will have been against this. Is that right?
The author's name is Omar El, I believe it's pronounced Akkad, Akkad. Yeah, one day everyone will have always been against this.
And it's reflecting on Palestine, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, look at how we react to this story of Jesus healing on the Sabbath. Everyone's like, ugh, those silly Pharisees didn't get what Jesus was all about. Yeah, it's easy for us to say that in retrospect. What are the things that we do in the moment that cause that level of disruption? And that's where I think I'd love for us to land, Seth, is what are the places where we can bring faith to be disruptive for the sake of healing? To say, this person needs healing. I don't care what day or what time it is. I have the ability to offer that. What are the things we can do?
Well, I'm thinking right now about place and time. If we say wrong place, wrong time, I want both of those to sort of align. And when I think right now about sort of what it looks like all over America at this moment, is just a growing backlash against anyone who's not straight. No matter where they are on the sexual or gender spectrum, there seems like there's a concerted effort right now to belittle them, to call them names, to endanger them. So I just think to stand up for them and to stand with that community is one way in which they need they need maybe not my healing, but like they could benefit from my privilege, my position, my protection. Thinking especially of just the sort of horrible things that Trump says all the time about transgender people. It feels to me like to support them is absolutely to push against the way that at least our government is officially moving, in the way that, if not the majority of our country, a large part of it is moving to. Makes me super sad. It's not sad doesn't cut it. That's the word that came to mind because I have too many feelings about the way that it just, I don't know, brings me down.
Yeah, and it feels more general and maybe a little less powerful, but I'm still resonating with this idea of we're the places that we tell the truth. We tell the truth about the experiences that we've had that have been harmful, the beliefs that we've held and imposed on others that have been harmful. We tell the truth about where we've harmed others and where others have harmed us. I don't know, it just feels like, I know my experience in a lot of circumstances has been, don't say that because you don't want to upset them. Keep the peace. Avoid conflict at whatever cost.
Yeah, I've done a lot of that too, Jonathan.
Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking about where are the spaces that someone might look at the truth that I can tell and say, hey, not here, not now, and indicate and validate that that was actually the right place to be talking about it.
Welcome to my family's Thanksgiving.
And maybe that's where it starts, Seth, is these experiences where we are around people that, if we don't know very well, we've at least been around them a lot in our lives. And even if we are not known very well by them, they think that they know us very well. What does telling the truth in a way that kind of busts that image and understanding of who you are and how things are going, what is that worth? And does that then translate to other settings where you're willing to identify the way things are and think about the way things ought to be instead? Honestly, easier said than done. I just felt like a lifelong struggle to start telling the truth and not just try to accommodate myself to the people who are giving me a grade or making a decision on my behalf. And honestly, as I'm coming to the end of what I imagine will be my last academic program and look back and realize that since I was 4 or 5 years old, I have never not been in some sort of circumstance where someone wasn't grading me. The only academic gap I've had in the last 25 years has been a 3-year period that happens to coincide with my provisional ordination period, where I was like constantly feeling monitored and that someone was looking over my shoulder at every action that I took.
Man.
And there's part of me that's really worried about existing without that.
Yeah.
And what that's going to mean. But there's also part of me that's excited to learn a new skill of telling the truth. And not like the capital T truth, but being able to honestly assess where things are and share my perspective. Be open to be corrected, but also being open to being right. And taking the risk of pissing people off for the sake of the things that we say we value, whether it's open hearts, open minds, and open doors. This is the United Methodist Church tagline that we've had around for a while. Like, can we talk about what that actually means and how we're getting in the way of that ourselves? Or being at an educational institution that claims to be really high access and serves students that don't have a lot of resources or support, and recognize that we may just be taking advantage of them if we're not devoting ourselves to their success. Like, where are the spaces where we need to tell the truth? Where are the spaces where I need to tell the truth? And how can I be empowered to be labeled as wrong place, wrong time?
I appreciate that. You gotta read One Day, Everyone Will Always Have Been Against This.
Sounds like a lot of us do.
Yeah. I think that's what he does in that book, is he tells the truth. And I think that he's right, as the title says, one day, when it's more socially acceptable, everyone will claim to have always been against the destruction in Gaza. But it's long past. I hope we can do that. Again, not only for Gaza, but for, just like you were saying, your students at your school, and our LGBTQIA community, and students who are forced to learn the Bible at school. I hope we can honestly tell the truth about these things. I hope we can take it when people get pissed at us. It's going to say rightfully, but I don't even know if that's either way, rightfully pissed or not. I hope we can tell the truth.
Can I pray for us, Seth?
Absolutely, Jonathan.
Healing God, you meet us at the riverside, in holy cities, and by the pools of waiting. You stir hope in weary bodies and call us to walk into healing and freedom. May your Spirit stir in us the courage to listen, the joy to witness your light, and the love to extend your grace to all. Mindful of the many names by which your children cry out to you from all over the world, I pray in the name of the living water, Jesus Christ. Amen.